delighted to be here. You know, we were taking pictures before, and I forgot for a moment that we're not supposed to smile, and there's nothing to smile about. And we're faced with a very, very serious situation in terms of the Jewish people and in terms of America, the health, the well-being of the United States. There is no question in my mind, and I don't believe that there is a question in the minds of too many people, that this terrorist regime in Iran, the #1 sponsor of terror in the entire world, there is no question that they are laughing at us. They are laughing at us. They have reason to celebrate. They were victorious. America was weak. America made concession after concession in these talks. And this is not some minor issue. This is not what we had many years ago, selling AWACS to Saudi Arabia, which was a major issue years ago. This is about a rogue nation. This is about a country that supports Hezbollah, Hamas, and every terrorist organization in the Middle East attaining nuclear weapons. Do you know what that means? Do you understand the implication of that? And there is no question that they will have those atomic weapons. Atomic weapons in the hands of the Ayatollah? Do you know what that means for our people? Do you know what that means for the people of Israel, 6 million Jews? Do you know what that means for the United States of America as they develop ballistic missiles that will be able to hit America? President Obama, if you go back to 2 years ago, what the conversation was, what the deal was on the table, the red lines that we would not cross because it would endanger the world. Do you remember the days when President Obama spoke about the military option? I mean, nobody wants war. And sometimes you try to avoid war like Chamberlain in 1938. Chamberlain returned from Munich from Heil Hitler, and he brought peace to the world in 1938. For 3 weeks, the editorials in the newspapers, he was the hero. Chamberlain was the hero. He avoided war. They sacrificed Czechoslovakia, threw it into the ocean. And we know the price that was paid. The Nazis, Hitler, they were laughing at Chamberlain. And the Iranians are laughing at our president and at America as I speak here tonight. Tonight is not about listening to speeches. We can talk about Obama, we know his record, we know the story. For those of us who have followed Ally by Michael Warren, who's not exactly a right-winger, we understand he is not exactly the best friend the Jewish people have ever had. We get it. We know that. He's not the great friend of Israel. No question about that. That is very, very clear. But Israel is faced with a threat, and the Middle East, and ultimately we in the United States from Iran. And I don't think it's that complicated. I don't think it's that difficult to understand the basic fundamental things in this deal. It's interesting. Senator Schumer, our senator, nice guy, I don't know, did he appear on the Sunday shows today, as he does every single Sunday, on nonsense or whatever he's doing that's so safe to talk about? So, we're waiting for Senator Schumer. He's examining this. I don't know why it takes him such a long time. He's a pretty smart guy. I don't know what he's waiting for. By the way, somebody else right away got it. Right away understood, but on the wrong side. And we will be there to remember Hillary Clinton didn't take much time to say this was a great deal. How sad and pathetic that is. By the way, it's so interesting. You know, I'm a Democrat. The truth is, I'm a Jew. And being a Jew is more important to me than any particular label. I just want to explain that. You see, my parents went to Auschwitz in 1944. That's part of my legacy. You see, Obama wants a legacy. I have a legacy. It is a legacy of my grandmother going to the gas chamber in 1944. That's my legacy. And when I see what is going on right now, when I see that a couple of days before the agreement, after the agreement, it doesn't make sense, ladies and gentlemen. Are we living in the real world? Is this a bad dream that we will wake up tomorrow morning? I mean, you have the millions of people in the streets of Tehran and cities throughout Iran chanting, "Death to America, death to Israel." That doesn't mean anything. That's not real. That's not a real feeling that exists there, and we negotiate with this terrorist state. It's crazy. It's insane. The people of Israel, and we have our families there, we have our friends there, and if we don't have our family and friends, we understand what Israel means to every single person who cares about democracy, who cares about the Jewish people. Israel's survival, this is real, ladies and gentlemen. Israel's survival is in jeopardy. Make no mistake about that, God forbid. And therefore, the question becomes tonight, and for the coming days, for the coming weeks, and time is of the essence. It is an emergency, ladies and gentlemen. Things are burning. We're in trouble. We've got problems. Are we going to be there for our people? Are we going to be there as Americans standing up against this Munich? This is Munich. There's a piece in Commentary that just came out today, Commentary magazine, that calls this deal worse than Munich, worse than Chamberlain 1938. And we have an obligation, ladies and gentlemen, the people of Israel, the leaders of Israel. How often does Netanyahu, Yair Lapid, Isaac Herzog, and every other political leader in Israel, how often do they stand together and say that this deal is a disaster for the Middle East, a disaster for Israel, and a disaster for America? They are all together because they understand the implications. Right now, as we speak, 100,000 missiles are aimed at Israel from Lebanon, from Hezbollah. By the way, that's not an exaggeration. It's not 99,000 or 90 we're exaggerating. We're rounding it off. 100,000 missiles are aimed at Israel. Many of those weapons received by Iran. Part of the deal here, ladies and gentlemen, $150 billion that the Iranians will have in their pockets within a couple of months. What can you do with $150 billion? There's good reason, ladies and gentlemen, why Hezbollah is celebrating in the streets of the Middle East, why Hamas is celebrating, why every terrorist organization is celebrating, why Assad of Syria. You know, the first people who came out and said and applauded this deal was so interesting to watch. Putin from Russia, great friend of America. The next person was Assad, the leader of Syria. What are they up to in that country? 300,000 people murdered in that country, and nobody cares. And of course, we can add to that list. This really gave me comfort when I saw that, ladies and gentlemen, Jimmy Carter thinks this is a very good idea, ladies and gentlemen. So, ladies and gentlemen, message, each and every one of you. You are an army. You have power beyond what you can imagine if every one of you would simply use it starting tomorrow morning. And the first person to get in touch with, and not to stop getting in touch with that person, is the Schumer Israel. Who is the Schumer Israel here in New York? Senator Schumer. He has said it 1,000,000 times. When he came to your synagogue, if he came here, I know in my community, every speech he makes, he talks about being, do you know what Schumer means? He says to the people, do you know what Schumer means? It means Shomer. I am Shomer Yisrael. Well, Senator Schumer, step forward and be a Shomer Yisrael now! Be entertained. You're here because you care. You came out tonight. It was a hot day, a long day. You could be home, relaxing, doing other things. But you love the Jewish people. You understand that this is one of the most serious situations that I can remember in my lifetime in terms of something confronting us. And the test is going to be, are we going to be there for our people? It's got to be better than it was in the 1940s when American Jews went out there for the Holocaust, people going through the Holocaust. That's a chapter that's very, very sad. We will not let that happen again. So ladies and gentlemen, you get Senator Schumer's number, you put it on speed dial on your cell phone and at home, and you don't stop calling that number in Washington and New York starting tomorrow. Don't ask him. You demand that he take a position. He understands. He understands quite well. By the way, could you only imagine for one moment, and this is not a partisan issue, it should not be, but it is a little sad when I watch that when there's a Democratic president, Democratic leaders and congressmen are very careful about doing the right thing. Can you only imagine if George W. Bush was in the White House doing the same thing? Schumer would have been online last week Wednesday, last week Tuesday. He'd be criticizing a Republican president, making the exact same deal. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's our test. It's also our opportunity. And you don't have to worry. Can we make it happen? Can we get the votes to override? You don't have to worry about that. I am convinced if we do what we need to do, every single person who cares deeply about the well-being of Israel, there is no question in my mind that we will be victorious and that this deal will go into the garbage where it belongs. Now we're going to talk about the deal. It's a farce. And more will come out and it will be very, very clear. You know, some of it is so ludicrous, so preposterous. It's almost they think we're stupid. You know, if there's a violation or if there's a problem, you know, you gotta bring it to this one and that one, you know, this committee, that committee. I mean, the Iranians, even as many have said, even if they keep every part of this agreement, ladies and gentlemen, are going to have atomic weapons within a certain amount of time. Can you imagine that? What that means for them to have atomic weapons? I mean, it's unbelievable. America is under threat with ballistic missiles that they will develop. So, ladies and gentlemen, everybody here, an army, amazing, wonderful, and Jews throughout and non-Jews, I got to tell you a very interesting thing. You know, I appear on Neil Cavuto very often. I was on this past week on Fox Television. And every time I speak about these things, the letters, the emails by the hundreds that come in from all over the United States, from non-Jews who are amazing supporters of Israel in every part of the United States. Ladies and gentlemen, with God's help, always God is part of the equation for me, with God's help and what you are going to do and what Americans are going to do all over the United States, we will be victorious in defeating this. Thank you very much. Because he is probably the most important person, not only to get on our side. Watch carefully. It's not only getting him to say, I will vote against. It's using the tremendous capabilities and strength and power that he has to convince others. A lot of people are waiting and watching to see what he will do. But I mentioned Schumer, and I imagine there are other congressmen out there who are going to feel insulted that I didn't mention their name tonight, that they too should be contacted. I want to mention one other person because I know he's very important. And he's from the island here, I believe. His name is Steve Israel, Congressman Steve Israel. Where is he on this? What is his position? And he is very, very important. He's not just another member of the United States Congress. So ladies and gentlemen, how successful we will be is totally in your hands. And I don't want to scare you, only in your hands. In the hands of people throughout, people who care, people who are going to act. But I would like to ask, how many people, I asked earlier, I said, every single person here is going to be calling Senator Schumer. And they're going to do it, let's say, every other day and just make it very clear where you stand. And if you're a Democrat, say, I'm a Democrat. Important in this particular case. By raising your hands, I'm not asking you to swear, I'm not asking you to take an oath, but I want to ask, tell me if you are going to make this effort with Senator Schumer. Okay, let me tell you something right now. We will win. No question about it. And Steve Israel and the Democrats. And I want to say something about Congressman Zeldin. I'm a Democrat, so I can, and by the way, I had the great pleasure of supporting Congressman Turner when he ran. But I want to say, Congressman Zeldin, I don't care, Republican, Democrat, he stands up for the right things and he cares about our community. That's what matters. It's not about Republicans or Democrats. So ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know, I'm going to be very busy on this issue. Nothing is more important to me. I represent Borough Park, Midwood. Nothing is more important than this issue. And I want to tell you, you've given me tonight physical strength, because the people that raised their hands, and it was almost unanimous. Some of the people who didn't, maybe they're tired, it's been a long night, they just didn't want to raise their hands. But I am incredibly encouraged because I believe that you are going to do this. This is critical for Israel. This is critical for the Middle East. This is critical for America. Thank you.